Guys, welcome to this talk with Luis Martins Simões.
Luis is okay.
Luis is enough, okay, with Luis. And just a short introduction, I know Luis since 1999, so 24 years ago. I met him doing a business course about communication, sales and stuff. And then we become friends and I did lots of courses with him and he's been one of my life masters. I've been learning a lot. So lots of things you are learning with me here, also I learned from him. So then I invite him, hey, you want to spend a few days to Algarve? Yes, but let's do something more interesting, and then we decide to organize this here. So Luis is here to give some of his time to you guys, and I hope you will enjoy and you're going to learn something, right? If you don't learn, bad luck. No, we don't have to say. Accept it. All right. Okay, guys.
So we're going to do this like a conversation. So let's make it interactive. It's not going to be a one-way speech. So whenever you want to talk, ask questions, comments, whatever, feel free to do it. All right? Arlindo has asked me to tackle two main themes, main subjects. The first one will be about motivation and life purpose. Then we'll have a short break where he has prepared coffee and tea and things like that. I'd say 10 minutes break. And then we have another part which is going to be about emotions and health. Right? I am from Portugal indeed. I've traveled the world for years and years. I've been a consultant all over the world for 35 years, and I've been working with this that we're going to talk about ever since '94. So I work with plenty of things, but today we have decided to tackle these two, all right? Now, let's start, and you just follow and intervene whenever you want, all right? Let's make it a conversation. Whenever we are anywhere on Earth, in our Western civilization, especially in our Western civilization, we have two things. We have a goal, normally, which I will draw like this flag, because in many sports, flags are our purpose, our goal. And then we have a path to achieve the goal. And it's like this in everything, okay? If I want to get healthier, I may have a goal to become healthier. If I want to get slimmer, I may have a goal to become slimmer. If I want to lose weight, I may have a goal to lose weight. If I want to be richer, whatever, I'm just inventing, I may have a goal to become richer. If I want to be, I want to get rid of a symptom, if I want to heal myself of something, I will also have a goal. Now, all our problems in our life come from those goals. I know what you're going to hear is not very conformist. It's not really exactly as you've heard it for years and years. I tackle things differently. All our biggest problems come from setting goals. Etymologically, the word goal in Spanish, in Italian, in French, in Portuguese, in English, means end. What does it mean in German?
Ziel.
And what is the meaning?
It's the end. Yes.
The end as well. All right. So a goal is an end towards which I want to go and I want to achieve. So the word achievement goes together with goals, right? Now, when we have set up a goal, and we have a goal and a path, which one would you rather focus upon in your daily life? On the goal or on the path? This is a question, okay? You can answer if you want. You don't need to answer. You can make it rhetorical if you don't want to answer.
Goal. Yes, the goal.
The goal. you would focus rather on the goal in your daily life, right? You too?
I would say the path.
The path, yeah.
The path.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And if I get near the goal, I create another path.
Can you repeat, please?
If I
You are
get-
from Scotland, are you not?
Sorry.
You have to speak slowly.
Clearly.
My ear is not acquainted with the Scottish accent. If,
So,
if
when
ever
I-
I need translation, please help me, all right? The Scottish are terrible. Whenever I go across the world, the Scottish are the one who they give me a hard time. Okay.
So when I get near my goal,
Yes.
I create another path
All right.
before I get there.
All right. Great. So when we achieve the goal, then we have another path.
Now before I get near the goal.
Before you get near the goal.
Otherwise I forget.
Oh, otherwise you forget.
I'm here.
Yeah. Are you from the Highlands?
No, Glasgow.
Glasgow. Down for you. Right. Everything has to do with focus. Everything has to do with focus. The focus of our attention. If I focus on the goal, on the achievement of the goal, how do you think I will be feeling?
Unhappy because it's taking so long to get there.
I'm happy because it takes time. Right.
Stressful.
Stressful, why?
The second bag is coming. It's just arriving.
Because of the need of getting there. And
The need of?
getting there.
Right, right. Time and the need to achieve.
The frustration of not getting there.
If you don't get there, then we have a frustration. Right.
I think I'd be saying, I'm fed up with this long path. I want to reach my goal.
Yes. So you get fed up. Again, the notion of timing. Right? It takes too much time for me to achieve. Right.
But the goal would keep me going, the path wouldn't. 'Cause I'd get fed up
The
with
goal would keep me going, the path wouldn't. How do you know? What makes you say that?
I've never really thought about it.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that's why we're here, right? So it's all right. It's all right. So, yes, you were saying?
I think sometimes when you see, when you have this goal, you see people who've apparently achieved it, and you look at their unhappiness, it makes you think that actually maybe I don't need to have that goal. I would rather be a successful failure.
Right, successful failure. Successful failure. This is the first one I hear it. Great, great, but it's interesting. Everything has to do with perception. One of the things that goals bring us is anxiety and fear. Whenever we set up goals and we focus our attention on goals, then we are very prone to feel anxiety and or fear. Do you know the difference between anxiety and fear? Do you have an idea of what is the difference? What the difference of between anxiety and fear is?
Is fear and a concept and an anxiety is a feeling?
Anxiety is a feeling and fear is a concept. Fear is also a feeling. What is the difference between the two? What might be the difference?
Fear is the unknown. It is unknown.
Fear of the unknown, you say.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Or should we rather call that anxiety?
Yeah, the anxiety is the fear of the unknown. Fear is an actuality. It's because the thing is staring you in the face, I think,
Right.
and you're closer to it,
To fear.
to fear.
Yes, definitely. We are only afraid of what we know. No one is afraid of what they don't know. So fear comes from knowledge. And knowledge comes from the past. From the past. So, babies, when they get born, they're afraid of two things. One is loud noises, and the other one is to fall. They are afraid of nothing else. They have no knowledge. The more we know, the more we work on fears. So I have to have a lot of knowledge to be afraid. That's why we say very often, these kids are unconscious. How can they do that? Can't they measure the risks? And then when we get older, we say, hold a second, I'm not going to do this. This is too dangerous. We may measure fear. So, fear comes with knowledge, with experience. So fear lies in the past. Anxiety. There are no drugs, no pharmaceutical drugs to fear. No pharmaceutical drugs to fear. But we have many pharmaceutical drugs to anxiety. Anxiety has no foundations. Anxiety comes out of nothing. Anxiety has nothing to do with anything that I already know. Anxiety has to do with the unknown, and because it is unknown, where might it be? In the future. So when I'm anxious, it means I'm focusing too much of my attention on what would be happening tomorrow. What could be happening tomorrow? You see, what will happen? What will be in 2 months from now? Where will I be? What will happen to me? This is anxiety. I'm here, but I'm focusing too much on what I can become tomorrow. So drugs that are given us for anxiety, they do not really act on anxiety. They just put us asleep. They get on our nervous system and they lower our defenses. So what happens is, when we have goals, it's like a windshield cleaner. You know, in our cars, when it starts raining, we have the cleaners, the wipes in the windshield. So what happens? A goal is set. The first thing that happens is, woof! What will become of me tomorrow? If I wouldn't get it. The fear or the anxiety of future failure. What will become of me if I do not achieve that? And suddenly, when you are in this anxiety with a cleaner over there, you start simulating possibilities of events with your database. That comes from where? From the past. Oh, I remember that when this happened to that lady, my friend, this happened to her. Oh gosh, how afraid I am now. Oh, so what happens when we focus too much on goals is that the cleaner goes to anxiety and then back to fear, and then to anxiety and back to fear, and then to anxiety and back to fear. And this is...
Luis,
Yes?
do you mind giving me an example, for example, applied to my clients, for example, one could be the fear of fall, or the fear or not move properly, or the fear of...
I'm going to give you a very strong example. One of the things I work with, and I've been working for the last 28 years, 29, is with physical healing. And when you have somebody in your life that comes to you and talks to you about a physical symptom, it doesn't need to be a very serious one, okay? Let's not take one where your life is in danger, okay? Not a vital one, but a strong symptom. When people want to get healed, that becomes an objective. It becomes a possible end. They go like this. Every time they do blood analysis, how will it be? When they come back, if the analyses were great, great, we celebrate. When the analyses are not good, oh shit, sorry about that. Boom, the fear, oh my God, what's going to happen to me? And this happens very often. That's why when we talk about healing, the first thing we have to forget about is goals. Anyone who has a goal to get healed will probably not get healed. It's terrible to hear this. I know, I've been working with this for years. What is terrible here is that our society keeps on going on focusing on objectives. You can do it. If you go to the United States, who is the lady from the United States? You are. Where are you from in the United States? East Coast where?
Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. I've been there a few years ago. I went to give some courses there. I was in Bethesda, but I was always going to, it's very close. And the Americans are very much, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. You know that? Yes, we can. And this, everything that starts in America spreads all over the world. All the time. All the time, we know that. Even health and everything. So people are very much focused on goals. It has started mainly in 1960. It already happened before, but it became really strong in the beginning of the 60s. So goals, 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 goals. Anxiety, 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 anxiety. Fear, 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 fear. And what happens? The segregation, the adrenal glands start segregating cortisols and adrenalines. Some people call adrenaline epinephrine. It's the same. It depends on the countries. Epinephrine or adrenaline is the same. So what happens is, when I start being in this windshield cleaner movement, I start segregating with my adrenal glands cortisols and adrenalines. And you know what happens to my inner vibration? My inner vibration. You know what vibration means? Vibration is a Latin word. Vibration means quick oscillation. When something is oscillating, when it's a quick oscillation, quicker than what we might think, because it's much quicker, we call it vibration. Inside of us, nothing is natural. Everything is vibration. And what most lowers our vibration is fear and anxiety. Those are terrible. So imagine, I want to get cured of something. Or I want to get slimmer, or I want to lose weight, or I want to be healthier. Which would suppose I should be raising my vibration, but since I start focusing my attention on achieving that goal, whatever the goal is, what I end up doing is lowering my vibration because my sympathetic system starts driving me to defense and attack mode. So people who keep on focusing on goals all the time, they live in a defense and attack mode. This defense and attack mode brings us to a very low vibration, segregates a lot of neurotransmitters, hormones, that go to the blood that are not very healthy. Now, of course, those who have taught us this, they were not aware of this. But one of the things I do in my life, I'm 64. And one of the things I've learned is I've stopped working with goals a long time ago. I realized goals were burning me. But then bring them to a company. Imagine you work for a corporation. Can you imagine working in a corporation where there are goals to be set and to be achieved? Do you know any of those corporations? Have you ever met one? I only know one. Mine. It's a very small one. And when I was a consultant I was consultant at a very high level everywhere in the world, from the Singapore and Hong Kong and Malaysia to Brazil and the United States and Mexico, Argentina, whatever. I went all over the only place where I didn't go to was Africa. I went to the Maghreb, so the northern part of Africa, but not down there. I never went to the places where you came from. And it's amazing because companies, they always say we have to set up these goals, we have to achieve this, we have to achieve that, and this makes people start segregating very bad neurotransmitters to their blood and their vibration goes down. So it's not very healthy. And in competition, because we've all learned to live in competition. When I was young, I went to the university and I studied economics. And then I studied management, business management. And it was all competition, 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 competition. You're watching a soccer match, or a football match, or a rugby match, or a tennis match. And what happens? You are from one of the clubs, for one of the teams, or for one of the players, if it's just a single one. And when you're for one of them, you're already in competition. What happens? Zoom, 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 zoom. What does it trigger? Low vibration. So, we need to get rid of the focus of goals. So, we definitely need to focus our attention on the path. So, this line here, this is supposed to be the path. If we go back 2,000 years, 3,000 years, 4,000 years, it is written in all spiritualities, the pleasure is in the journey. Have you ever heard this? Mm-hmm. Everybody has, all right? The pleasure is in the journey. The pleasure is in the path. So when you hear this, you say, how come the pleasure is in the journey? How come the pleasure is in this path? Especially when you said, well, it takes so much time to get there. And as you said, I'm fed up. I'd like to get there much quicker. You know, that's drug addiction? I've dealt with some people who come to me, they've been drug addicted. You know what they want to do with the drugs? Speed up the time. I want to be in a state of consciousness where I will be at peace, at one with the universe, living oneness. What they are called today in mindfulness. But it takes me so much time to get there that I had to find a substance that would bring me there very quickly. That's the purpose of drugs, and not so much drugs, but addiction. What do? They skip that timing that is so boring and tiring. So, you know what? We all do it. Maybe not with those chemical drugs, but we do it in our lives. Because we don't understand what it is to say, the pleasure is in the journey. The pleasure is in the path. If I focus here, one of the things I need to focus on, and this is something we've all heard, is to focus on the now moment. Okay? Focus on the present moment, right? So focusing on the path is I focus on every step on the way. Happiness means accepting every path as good. There's no failure. You remember what you said about the success of failure?
The successful failure.
Yeah, the successful failure, yes, thank you. That only exists if I'm focusing my attention here. If I focus my attention here, there's only millions of nows, and it's not milestones. Because if you work with milestones, oh, I want to get there, and then I want to get there, and then I want to get there, you're back here. You're back here. And the power of now, which is very famous today, most people do not understand it. What does it mean? Because almost nobody is able to live in the power of now, in the power of the present moment. Definitely, focusing on the goal we've seen is not very good for all of us, for any of us. Focusing on the path is something difficult to do. And there are two verbs that help us focusing on the path. One is to be. One is to be. The other one is to do. I can only be now. I can only do now. When I'm doing now. Now I say, tomorrow I will be doing this. Yes, but I'm still not doing it. I will be doing tomorrow in the present of tomorrow. So, to do and to be are two verbs that bring us to the now. And to do, you know what to do means? This is going to be curious. Babe, action. Great. Action. Thank you. Action. All verbs mean action. So I understand what you mean, but they all mean action. A verb means action, right? So I know where you're getting. I'm trying to help here because you're right, and we need to go a little bit further. There is the key word is movement. The key word for all of us is movement. When I move, and I'm going to achieve, I don't know, that tree, imagine that tree is my goal. I must focus on this step. This is my now moment. Then I focus on this step. This is my now moment. And then I focus on this step. This is my now moment. Imagine I have a mobility problem with my body. My body doesn't move very well. All right, imagine I'm feeling some pain and I'm not flexible enough. And well, I look for example, fantastic, Animal Flow with Arlindo. Okay, many of you know his work. So the worst thing you can do is thinking you're going to get better. And it's going to every class thinking I'm going to get better. The best thing we can do is, when I'm there, enjoying what I'm doing, and what I'm being, I'll keep it for later. Enjoy what I'm doing. Just forget about getting better. Yes?
One of the suggestions is, so I try to work with them that, and also to work myself, because it's, we are conditioned, and with this mindset. One tip I give is, when you are in a class, and imagine you see someone doing something really advanced, or it could be a handstand, or even doesn't need to be a handstand. My suggestion is, okay, that's great, fantastic. Maybe one day I'll get there. But now, what can I do? I can have my knees off the floor. That's what I'm going to focus. So my recommendation to them is, okay, you can, maybe one day we'll be there, maybe,
We don't care.
I don't care. Now what can I do is this, and
Yes.
focus on what we can do.
Just that. The problem with the goals is we seek for the goal, and the goal will become an outcome. We seek that outcome, that result, right? That's what triggers anxiety and fear and all that low vibration. If I get rid of that seeking of the goal, what happens is I receive the outcome. The more I focus on the path, the more I receive the outcome. The more I focus on seeking the objective and getting somewhere, the more I get stressed and frustrated. And what is amazing is my life has taught me that in every part of my life, inclusively with healing, example, this is a very good example. I'm not moving very well. There's nothing really scary because my life is not at stake, but I would like to move better, right? So here we are, in a certain healing. Healing is going to be received, not foreseen. I need to focus on what I'm doing, so I may receive the outcome. The outcome is always a possibility, never an expectation. The outcome is always a possibility. The more I want something, the more it steps away from me. The less I want something, the more it comes near me. This lady has lost her ring. Everybody starts looking for her ring. We stay here till 8 o'clock, no light anymore, didn't find a ring. Everybody goes home, the lady is frustrated because she has lost her ring. Tomorrow, she comes to talk with Arlindo, and whoops, my ring. The less you want something, the more it comes to us. The more we want something, the more it gets away from us. Our Western society is exactly the opposite. If you want something, go for it, go for it, go for it. I've learned with my path, with my journey, the less I want things, the more I receive them. Now, so the outcome is a mere possibility. It cannot become an objective or a goal. It's not something I should be seeking. Something I may be receiving. And someday, after 10 classes with Arlindo, one day I realized, wow, look at this. I'm moving much better. And my shoulder is not bringing me that pain anymore. Hey, look at this. The less you look for it, the more it looks for you. See it, Arlindo?
And another thing I notice with my clients, those that I want really to achieve that one, they end up the ones that do less when they are alone.
Yes.
And now I was listening to it because they want so much to achieve and they get tired.
Yeah.
I feel like the energy, because I don't know your opinion, but I feel like more they want, but at some ways create the vibration that bring them down, and then also they lose energy to do things by themselves.
Absolutely.
All right.
So there's a word that creates movement. Movement is key word. Sports are not good for our health. Sports are not good for our health. Everybody says you must do a lot of sports. Most people, and especially athletes, gosh, they don't have a very healthy life. What we need is not sports, and especially not competition sports. What we need is movement. Our body, our mind, our spirit are very fond of movement. And there's a word that means movement. And look, movement is what I'm doing. Okay? There's a word that means moves. That word is the word motivation. Motivation is a Latin word that comes from motivo in Latin. This is a V, this is a U, okay? They're very similar. Motivo. Motivo is like in English, a motive, a reason for something. And motivum in Latin comes from the old classic Latin, from motu. And motu means movement. A motorbike, a motor. Motor comes from motu. A bike that moves. Self-movement. And we Latins, we have lots of words that include motu. And motivation is one of them. So when I'm in motu, in movement, when can it be? It cannot be when I've achieved. Motivation is zero. I've achieved. Movement can only be when I'm still in the path. So, what is interesting here is that many people are motivated to achieve these skill sets. It's not motivation to achieve, because then suddenly this becomes really hard labor. But if it is setting myself in motion, the word motion comes from motu, setting myself in motion, then I will be living the journey, the path. I'll be motivating myself. I've worked for years with competition sports, top level. And I'm going to tell you the story. This is a story, you've heard it already. I'm going to tell you the story of a lady who is a Portuguese lady. We don't have that many, very sport level. So we like to tell this story. We don't have many at this very, very high level. There's a lady called Rosa Mota. I'm curious, Mota comes from Motu as well. She was world champ and Olympic champ of marathon. They put the two together. It was some years ago. She's 1 year older than I, so today she's 65. But when she was 20, I don't know how, she would, I met, you must remember this. There was a lady doing the marathon, a lady coming from New Zealand called Lorraine Moller. None of you knows? I've met Lorraine Moller. She's from New Zealand. She was the third in the Olympic Games, where Rosa Mota was the gold medal. And she now lives in Boulder, in Colorado, in the United States. And she came to one from the United States. He came to one of my courses, one of my workshops. It was very interesting to talk, because she was a pro in marathon. And she talked to me about Rosa Mota. It was very interesting. Back to Rosa Mota. She would always say, they all do it. I met a guy from South Africa, a little bit under you, who would run the double marathon. And they all say, it's a long path. It's, in miles, it's 36 miles, more or less, and in kilometers, it's 42 kilometers, a marathon, okay, if I'm not wrong. And in the double marathon, it is 72 miles and 84 kilometers, something like that. I don't remember exactly. Or 62 miles and 84 kilometers. And they all say, at a certain point in time in the marathon, we hit the wall. Have you heard this expression?
I've done it.
You've done it. You have done it.
Yeah.
All right. Were you a marathon?
No, I did the marathon and I hit the wall.
You hit the wall.
Yeah.
It was tough.
It's terrible.
It's very tough. So Rosa Mota would say, every time I run, and I'm world and Olympic, and Lorraine Moller told me the same. The South African guy who was a pro told me the same. And I've done this with tennis players. They'd say the same, but not with a marathon. With football coaches. Well, it's in every sport. And they say we hit the wall. So Rosamoto would say, I hit the wall. When I hit the wall, the first thing I have to forget is that I want to win the marathon. They all say this. I need to forget I want to win the marathon. Even in sports and competition, they must forget about the competition at that very moment. Look, she had a problem with her diaphragm. She couldn't breathe. Here we call it donkey pain. It's very, very excruciating pain she had here. So, huh?
No, I was saying in Portuguese, dor
Dor de burro, yes, but you have probably other words for that. And she said, it was excruciating, I couldn't run anymore. So she learned, as they all did, to forget about the goal and forget about winning. Two things, the goal and winning. Forget about competition. And only focus on what I'm doing now. And in every sport, they do three things. And she would explain, you know, when I'm there, it's around the 30th kilometer in marathon, I feel so tired and so much pain that I need to focus on making a bigger step with no more effort. If I'm able to put, I don't know, some inches more, some centimeters more in every step, without making more effort, just being more accurate with my technique, in many steps, I will have recovered a lot of meters or whatever, yards. And when she's trying to do it a little bit longer, she would say, and then I focused on the technique, and that's when I learned the technique had to do with the way she would put the foot there, the knee and the bust, all the trunk, everything. And she would stay there, and she would bring a new breathing frequency, three things at the same moment. The frequency of breathing, enlarging a little bit the step, and technique. And she would say, I'm there not even 5 minutes. And I just forget about everything around me, and I just focus on the technique, on the pleasure of the path. I'm doing what I have to do. My vibration is raised because anxiety and fear disappear. And at a certain point in time, after 5 minutes, not even 5, she said, I'm back there. Then I run for life. Amazing. I had one guy who was a cycling. He was Portuguese national champ. And I was talking to him, and he said, I do exactly the same. The way I put my foot on the pedal, his name is Cândido Barbosa, for those who know Portugal. And the way I put my, and you know, they all know the body and the way they cycle, the professionals know when one of them is tired, because the technique is not accurate anymore. So just look at the technique and forget all the rest. And it's amazing. So the pleasures in the journey is find some movements that allow me to be focusing on those movements, on those moments of time that will bring me to now. This is what you should be looking for with our friend Alindo, those who work with Alindo. Yes, every time you move and you're doing the animal flow, it is important that you have something you can focus upon, and that something is in what you're doing. And if he tells you, lift up your shoulders, or whatever, I'm inventing, or do this with your knee, or with your, everything is great, because you say you have the sensation, I'm there. I'm enjoying the path. I'm enjoying the step. I'm enjoying the next step. Yes, Arlindo?
What suggestions do you have for those that, so painful, oh no, so hard, you are killing me?
It's part of the second subject that I will be tackling after. It is. But the first thing is, when you feel pain, you have to acknowledge pain. You have to acknowledge pain. You have to be there for pain. And as a professional, you must ease that pain. It is important if it's really painful. So if the leg like this is very painful, just
Yeah, no, that part, I was more, not, that's my principle. When there's a pain, you need to work always without the pain. When the pain starts, you need to go back a little bit.
go back always. And
Always.
that's always also knowing what I'm doing. Movement is not labor and not forced labor.
Yeah.
Okay? So movement is getting to where you can. And if here, whoa, this hurts,
And then,
you bend a little bit.
maybe I didn't explain properly, it's more the language. They do the things and they use the language, some of them. Okay, they use a language that I reinforce, okay, that language is not positive, is not healthy. I recommend, instead of, oh, it's too hard. So if it's too hard, it's because you are pushing too much.
Let's do something different. When they start saying, oh, I don't like this, or I feel pain, okay, let's focus on something different. You take away the scream, or whatever it is, and you just go back to the movement, and you take the pain away with the movement. This is very important.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you do, the Chinese and the Japanese, they're great in movement. When you're doing Tai Chi, or you're doing Qigong, and things like that, which all became afterwards martial arts, they all started just with movement and energy. When you're doing something like this in Qigong, you're holding the moon on your hands, and you're focusing on the moon, and you're seeing the moon. This is just movement. When you do Tai Chi and you do this, you're integrating the whole universe in yourself. That's what you're doing. This is movement. And this is powerful to raise your vibration. But then we invented sports competition. They do not raise our vibration, they lower down our vibration. So look, our body is mysteriously wise. Because from a certain age on, we have to stop doing sports. And most guys my age, I have many of them who still do a lot of sports. I used to, I don't do anymore, I just do movement. And I love movement. They keep on doing it. They're ruining their health. You know why? Because they think if they can't get to the same level of sports, they are old. And I say, it's the wisdom of your body and your spirit. Your body is not allowing you anymore to be in a competition, trying to do sports like a crazy guy or girl who wants to achieve something. One of the wisest things we do when we're getting older is forgetting about achievements. It's just enjoying. When I talk to my 3 children, I have 3 boys, and we talk about it, and we talk about getting older. I tell them it's a privilege. It's really a privilege. Because you get so wise, understanding that your inner consciousness is bringing you to do much wiser things, which have to come back to movement and forgetting all the excessive movement we had been doing with sports. I did a lot of sports competition. You name it. It killed me. And today, some people, they look at me and they say, you don't do anything, I do movement. Oh, I still do this every day, I'm at the gym every day. And look at you. What does it bring you? It is incredibly wise. So I read that sentence that Lindo has there. It can prevent you from getting older, but you don't need to get old. And that's the part of it. So thank something, can call it God, can call the universe, can call the spirit, can call our body. Thank all this, We don't need to achieve anything. Oh, it's such a peace. What happens? The cleaner, the windshield cleaner, stops. The vibration level goes up. The vibration level goes up, and here, it's time, 2 minutes. Yes?
It's very easy to
Sorry.
understand, to see your suggestions about movement relative to physical movement. But what about something a little bit more abstract? Like, someone who's struggling to become an artist.
Yeah.
So clearly there's some, but what is the movement to be focused on that keeps you in present? Is that a clear question? In
Yes,
other words,
it
the question of movement is more abstract in that situation.
Yes.
So help me understand
Yeah.
some of those kinds of movements.
Yes. Let's take the example of an art, right? And art is movement. Every art is movement.
We have two painters, two artists here, two at least.
You have?
Two
Yes.
here, yeah?
You
At
paint?
least two.
And you paint as well?
I paint, and when I paint, there is this movement, but I'm very mindful and peaceful here, and it's beautiful. It calms me down.
Yeah.
It's a meditation, but
It is.
but the whole of life is a meditation.
It is. It is.
So, and even the goal, achievement, is a meditation
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Because to be able to meditate, and I go back to your question, be able to meditate, you need to go through two other verbs. One is observation. To meditate, I need to be good at observation, observing, and especially self-observe myself. And the second one is of self-consciousness, which I absolutely neglect. I neglect self-observation and self-consciousness when I'm just focused on this. So, great painters, they did not care about achieving the painting. They enjoyed the moment they were drawing. And it's beautiful to see. Yes?
There's a third word, it's inquisitiveness.
Inquisitiveness.
Inquisitiveness, to achieve, to move, it's another, it underlies motivation.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Fantastic. And still, in every art, I write. Okay, I write books. I do meditations, and I write meditations, and I do many things. I do a healing, I do conferences, I do courses, I do workshops, whatever. And every time I'm doing something, I'm healing someone. I'm healing someone. I'm doing a healing with my hands on that someone. And that someone has something that can be a serious symptom. The first thing I have to get rid of is that she's going to get healed. And I always say I never know what's going to happen. I never know what the outcome will be. Let's dive into the art of serving, into the art of being here connected to this person. The rest I don't know. So when you talk about art, all artists, if we share their ideas with us, and we have two here who've already shared, they stop being an artist if they don't enjoy what they're doing. The outcome is not important. But now there's another thing. When you're starting and you want to become an artist, self-observation and self-consciousness are very important. Why? Because maybe that's not your path. Maybe you just should not be painting. Or maybe you just should not be writing. maybe you should be singing. So when I use self-observation and self-consciousness, I'm able to get connected to everything that is around me, everything that is subtle energy, everything that is intuition. And I start receiving information about whether or not that is my path and I should be working on that, or if I'd rather should leave it and start something different. See what I mean? So, but it's amazing because when you talk to people who really love art, they don't need to be very good. They don't care. It's the connection with it can be a line, it can be a color, it can be anything. It's that connection. They are at oneness with that white paper. And then connection is there. It's much stronger than motivation. We have motivation, we have inspiration, we have acceptance, and we have connection. And art seeks connection. But if you seek connection, you never get it. It's by starting that you get connected. Picasso had once a saying that was fantastic. He would say, inspiration for my paintings, of course it exists. But when I download that inspiration, it has to find me working. I need to be working. What would he mean with working? With doing something, motto in motion. Kids come to me and say, oh, my dad would like me to be an engineer, or my dad would like me to study this. And I say, the first thing I say, we have to get rid of your dad. You have to get rid of your dad because he has some achievements for you. As if you were an object of his life. You are a unique subject. Undivisive. You are a subject, and we have to treat you as such. So let's see what puts you on the move. What sets you in motion? What do you like? Then go that way. And if I realize I don't like it anymore, drop it and go somewhere else. And everything you do it with focus, with attention, whatever you do. So many people I know who are engineers who work in arts, and some people who work in arts, they're engineers. So many. And so my kids would ask me, Dad, what should I study? What sets you in motion? But if I don't go to university, who cares? The richest people in the world have never been close to a university. Forget about that. But you see, even in education, even in arts, you remember that beautiful movie called Dead Poets Society? Have you seen that movie with Robin Williams? When he was a teacher of poetry in an English, very traditional school, where everything was very shaped, everything was in forms, in boxes, and they would have to see what measuring poetry and seeing what a good poet is, everything achievement, and he told them how to feel poetry, and about feeling poetry. That's an immense, the script was absolutely marvelous. Robin Williams was marvelous, the movie was marvelous, the guy who wrote that was marvelous. But everything was about feeling poetry, not achieving poetry. It's amazing. That's all about our lives. I've been a professor at university in Portugal. And I've met other professors in some other, in INSEAD in France and places where I've been to, professors from UCLA, from Harvard. And I was teaching in a university in Portugal, the biggest and the most famous. And I really think that we are wrong here in Portugal. I don't know whether you think in your countries, but we are wrong. Everything is achieving. And the boys and girls that go to school, most of them, they hate school. They vomit school. They puke almost. How can we have done knowledge and wisdom something that you have to puke about. They're disgusted. Why? Because if you don't study, you will never be anybody. If you're not good at this, you'll never be anybody. We really kill their motivation. Not even thinking about inspiration, acceptance, and connection. We kill everything. You have one last question, and then we have a break.
It's not a question.
It's something you'd like to share.
Yeah, I think the problem is not only in universities. It starts
In schools.
in daycare.
Yes.
All
Yeah.
daycare,
Absolutely.
kindergarten, all the way there to the project.
Absolutely.
And one of the reasons I'm here is that I have a child, a 5-year child, and I don't want him to go to that path.
Absolutely.
To him to have choices.
Every child needs much more love than performance. And if we stop to think and observe, most people, not us in this room, of course, but those who are outside, we would like our kids to perform because they use our surname. And because they perform, I am the dad. So we need performance, and they need love. Nobody has ever been killed because of non-performance, but most of them die of non-love. Let's take a break, all right? You can have some coffee, and then we have the other part, all right?
Okay.